this point, lies in a series of articles Baudrillard wrote in the early 90s when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait in the first Gulf War, Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Baudrillard writes 3 articles, one before, one during, and one after the war, titled respectively, "The Gulf War Will Not Take Place," "The Gulf War Is Not Taking Place," and "The Gulf War Did Not Take Place." And what he means by the titles is not that there wasn't a conflict in the Middle East in the early 90s. What he means is that for the rest of the world, for anyone in the hundreds of countries around the world that are not actively witnessing and participating in the war, the full extent of the reality of the war is essentially not even taking place to them. See, at basically any other point in human history, if there was a war taking place in your experience of reality, that was because it was on your front doorstep. You were either fighting in it, people you knew were being raped or killed as a result of it. You may be just one person, and your experience of the war may only be from that individual narrow perspective, but at least your experience of the war was a small piece of the actual war. Whereas in the case of the Gulf War, to Baudrillard, so many people around the world will never have to experience the reality of that war. All they'll ever experience is a collection of visual images and sound bites on their TV given to them by the news that are passed off as a depiction of what's going on the other side of the planet. That if we were to really talk about the reality of what the Gulf War was, I mean, what are we talking about there? Millions of lives affected, decades of geopolitical lead-up, hundreds of battles, every one of them a tragedy, acts of kindness, acts of humanity, acts of hatred, and the darkness that human beings are capable of. We're talking about a collision point of thousands of different storylines that, when looked at exhaustively, embody all sides of the story. But the average person in one of these media-driven societies can just pop on the news, and through a series of flashing visual images and sound bites, they're going to